Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Richland City Council Chambers. It is 6 p.m., so I will call the August 4th meeting of the West Richland City Council to order. And before we get started, I would just ask our city clerk, Stephanie Haug, to read the hybrid meeting ground rules and then call roll for city council.
Tonight's meeting will be held in person with a virtual meeting component. If you are participating virtually, please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you would like the mayor to use. You can change this by right-clicking on your video view and selecting Rename. Audience members present in the council chambers will be called upon first during public comment periods. Those participating remotely should virtually raise their hand if they wish to speak. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hand. If you are participating by phone only, press *9 to raise your hand. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Is it not on? Oh, thank you. All right, roll call. Fred Brink,
Here.
Richard Bloom,
Here.
David Fetto,
Here.
Kate Moran,
Present.
Dan Ritchie,
Here.
John Smart,
Here.
Ben Stoker.
Here.
Councilmember Cole is on travel in Leavenworth for an AWC event and asked to be excused.
All right, thank you, City Clerk Haug. Council, may I have a motion to excuse Councilmember Cole given his attendance at a training event?
So moved.
I have motion and a second to excuse Councilmember Cole. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, Councilmember Fetto, would you kindly lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Fetto. Council, the agenda has been placed before you. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right. We do not have any presentations this evening, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes approving the minutes of the regular meeting of June 16th, 2026, the special meetings of June 9, 2026, and July 14, 2026. Also includes Ordinance 16-26, zoning code text amendments, parking in front yards. Motion authorizing the mayor to execute Amendment Number 5 to the Washington State Department of Transportation participating agreement for State Route 224 Red Mountain Project, and motion to accept the 2026 street striping project as complete. At this time, I'll open public comment for any comment with items on the consent agenda that I just read. If there's anyone that would like to comment on any consent agenda item, I welcome you to come to the podium. Please note that comments at this time are limited to the items that I just went through. And I will hear general comments later on during the meeting. Is there anyone present that would like to comment on the consent agenda? Seeing no one, is there anyone attending virtually who would like to comment on the consent agenda? If so, I kindly ask you raise your virtual hand. The city clerk will unmute you, and then I kindly ask you state your name and city of residence for the record and provide your comments. The other option is to press *9 on your telephone. I do not see anyone that wishes to comment online. Stephanie, do you see anyone?
I do not.
All right. Seeing no one, council, I ask for a motion then to approve the consent agenda as presented. We didn't do that yet. Did we? We didn't do that yet. Motion to approve the consent agenda. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. We have motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. Okay, thank you, council. We now have the first opportunity. Since we have no presentations or anything yet, we have the first opportunity for public comments for items not on the agenda. If you wish to provide comments, I kindly ask that you come to the podium, state your name and city of residence, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I also just remind anyone who wishes to speak that council will not respond to questions posed or during the comment period, as time frame is just for comments not relating to items on the agenda, and we'll ask for not on the agenda, and we'll ask for comments about agenda items at the time they're presented. Anyone wish to come forward and make a comment?
Mayor Brink, Mayor Pro Tem Bloom. My name is Josh Lozano. Here on behalf of Benton REA, your new neighbor down the road. Really to say thank you for attendance at our recent elected leaders luncheon. The event has been our widest attended event thus far in 2026. Attendance numbers surpassed 24 and 25 thanks to your help. So again, appreciate your support there. For those in attendance, we did highlight a 2027 capital budget request that we plan to submit during the 2027 legislative session. The project that we're working on is a strategic undergrounding project that will benefit roughly 62% of all West Richland residents. And so we're really hoping to secure some state funds because, in addition to the increased reliability for residents in West Richland, it also helps to offset our costs, which are funded by our members. And so as a nonprofit, any increase that we have, whether it's a capital budget project or cost of power, all of those are passed on to our membership. And so we do our best to mitigate against cost increases while also recognizing that we have critical infrastructure that needs to be upgraded. And so we've identified 2 overhead lines for strategic undergrounding. The other benefit, in addition to the reliability, the increased reliability, the reduced cost on maintenance and operation of those lines, we're also mitigating against wildfires. I think we've all seen the devastating impacts of wildfires to our neighbors to the east. And this is, an unfortunate reality that we are dealing with, not only in the state of Washington, but throughout the country. And so we want to do our job to mitigate against any potential utility-caused wildfires. And one of the best ways to do that is to take overhead lines and put them strategically underground. And so I'm not here today to formally ask for support, but to offer an opportunity to learn more about our project. And hopefully we can eventually find a venue where we will be seeking formal support of our project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lozano. Is there anyone else present that would like to make comment? I will then turn to our attendees online. If there's anyone attending virtually who'd like to provide a comment, please raise your virtual hand. City Clerk will unmute you and you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. You may also press *9 to raise your hand via telephone. I do not see anyone online wishing to make comment. Do you, Stephanie?
I do not see anyone with their hand up.
All right. Then we'll move on to ordinances, resolutions, motions, and public hearings. The first item 8A and 8B, are a public hearing and a resolution relating to a utility easement vacation for file number VACA-001-2026. Senior Planner Alicia Ransom will present the staff report.
Good evening. We have a request for an easement vacation on 2 properties, lots 170 and 171 of Willamette Heights, Section 6. The applicants, Stephen Carmen Versteeg and Curtis and Deborah Cleveland submitted an application together to vacate a portion of the 33-foot utility easement and a portion of the 30-foot utility easement on the properties. The Versteegs did a boundary line adjustment on lots 170 and 171 when they own both properties to create a portion of the property that they could sell to the Clevelands. And with the boundary line adjustment, they now have easements running through the middle of the property, and they've requested to vacate those in addition to portions of other easements as shown in the exhibit map in attachment 2. As part of the request for the easement vacation, they have agreed to dedicate new 10-foot utility easements along the property lines between lot 170, the new property lines between lot 170 and lot 171. And I believe the paperwork for that was completed today. The proposed easement vacation was sent out to utility agencies, and we did receive a comment from Ziply that they have existing infrastructure in the northeast corner of lot 170. And they asked for the easement vacation to be modified in order to accommodate their existing infrastructure, and that's been done. But beyond that, we didn't receive any comments regarding the easement vacation from other utilities or from neighboring properties. We did receive a number of questions, but no specific comments. And then Public Works had no further comment on the easement vacation beyond the comments that they provided as the request came in. Staff recommends that the easement vacation be approved as shown in the exhibit map and legal description. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ransom. I will now open the public hearing at 6:12 PM. We will hear in-person comments first on this topic, and then virtual attendee comments. So if you're here present in the chambers and wish to speak, please come to the podium. Once again, I kindly ask that you state your name and city of residence for the record. And you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? All right, seeing no one, I will turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who'd like to provide a comment, please raise your virtual hand. City Clerk will unmute you. You'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. And I would kindly ask you state your name and city of residence for the record, or you may press *9. I see no one attending virtually who has raised a hand. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right, so seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:13 PM. And council, I will ask for a motion.
I move to pass Resolution 41-26, authorizing the vacation of a portion of the 30-foot utility easement and a portion of the 33-foot utility easement for file VACA-0012026 as presented.
I have motion and a second. Does any council member have questions that have not been previously addressed? Councilmember Smart.
Yes, Alicia, I was just curious about the, I think it's the property to the west of this. I'm looking at the, like the aerial image, which doesn't actually highlight which property we're supposed to be looking at, but I think it's the one on the corner of Laurel. Let's see, the northwest corner of the intersection of 58th and Laurel. Is that right? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
So the property just to the, well, let me just ask this. Is there a road? I live around this neighborhood, but I can't tell from the map. Is there a road on the north boundary of that property that gives access to the property to the west of the subject properties? Is that a road? Like on the north boundary of
On the
property?
north side, no.
So what is the access? So the access is from Laurel Drive on
Correct.
the properties to the west?
Correct.
Okay,
That's what's in the roadway plan.
okay. And so the other just general question is that when these kind of lot splits happen, I guess that a person would be it might be difficult to split a lot, say to the west on an east-west line because there wouldn't be a road access to the property that's set in, or would somebody have to like develop an easement for that if they were to split the property, say north-south instead of east-west?
They would have to provide access to, if they were to split it that way, they would have to provide access, and typically that's through an easement.
Okay, but that is a process we can accommodate.
Yes, it would be dedicated on the face of the short plat
Okay.
to
great.
provide access to that northern lot.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Councilmember Fetto.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alicia, we've done a lot of these over the last several years. This is the first one that I've seen two parcels together in one resolution. Is it same ownership for both parcels? Is that why we're doing them together?
We've actually done a number together, but we've done a lot of them, so they all kind of blend together. But we do let people apply together. This is a little bit of a unique situation because the property used to be under the same ownership, and they changed the boundaries through the boundary line adjustment and then sold a portion of the property to family. So a little bit different, but we have had people apply together in the past.
Yeah, that was my, I just happened to notice it. And then the same comment as Councilmember Smart. We used to highlight these. We can see on the map which ones they were.
It printed in grayscale, and I'd already
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it got away from
I
me.
got you. Thank
I
you.
apologize.
Any other questions, Councilmember?
No, thank you. I'm good.
Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
But yeah, I looked at this really hard, and looking at Exhibit B, I don't see any 33-foot part of the easement being vacated. I see all the 30. I mean, I look back at the original dedications that we did, but
The easement with the legal description describes it as a variable width easement because that is how the surveyor wanted to display it, because we had a lot of back and forth with the surveyor on this one. But anything that is described as a variable width easement recorded under that recording number from 2023, that's the 33-foot easement.
well, the dedications that we did years and years ago for the 33-foot right of way and easements, and I went back and looked at that. Did that not take away the 33-foot easements?
They're requesting a modification of the 33-foot easement, specifically the portion that runs through the old property line.
Okay. I didn't think there was one. I thought we did away with that. That's all. That's
The portion was retained.
oh,
of that.
okay.
Yes.
All right.
I ask what property line you were just
Yeah,
referring
go
to, the
ahead,
old
Councilmember Smart.
the old property line?
The property line, the old property line between lot 170 and lot 171. It's marked as a dashed line on the exhibit map, so an attachment
Right,
two.
and so Councilmember Bloom, just to understand your question, it's indicated as 30 feet versus 33. Is that what you were? or no,
Yes,
and then-
yes.
Yeah, okay.
I understand the 30-foot easement. I just didn't think any of the 30, because the roadway, we didn't do the dedication through there. So I would think any 33-foot easement would have been gone. That's all.
But not recorded.
Yes, but it's specified as the 2023-001387.
Okay, I understand. It's confusing. So if there is a 33-foot easement, there won't be any more.
Correct.
Good.
Does council have any other questions? All right, we have a motion on the table to pass resolution. What was it? 4126. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, next item is Public hearing relating to utility easement vacation VACA-002-2026. We'll have a public hearing on this utility easement vacation. I will turn once again to Senior Planner Ransom to provide the staff report.
Good evening again. This is a request to vacate two 30-foot sewer easements. This is on the property, not the actual property of the I-plant, but property surrounding the I-plant, and the map didn't come through clear again. I apologize for that. But the 33-foot easements, the sewer easement, excuse me, the 30-foot easements, they're sewer easements, and they've been requested to vacate on behalf of a portion of the property is owned by the city, and the other portion is owned by 7HA Family LLC. The easement vacation was routed to the surrounding property owners as well as utilities. We received no comments from utilities nor the public regarding the easement vacations as proposed. And Public Works had no comments on the easement vacation as well. Staff recommends that the easements be vacated as proposed.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ransom. I will now open a public hearing at, 6:22 p.m. We'll hear in-person comments first. Is there anyone present in council chambers who would like to make a comment? If so, please come to the podium. Kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. All right, seeing no one, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who'd like to provide a comment on this particular utility easement vacation, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 if you're calling on a telephone. I do not see anyone online. Do you, Stephanie?
I do not.
Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing at 6:22 p.m. And council, it's your turn to make a motion.
I move to pass resolution 42-26, authorizing the vacation of the 30-foot sewer easements for the file VACA-002-2026.
Second.
A motion and a second. Council, any comments, questions for staff? Go ahead, Councilmember Smart.
So I just want to get on the record, Director Slade, that this has no impact on future plans for sewer. Like, we have a backup. I just want to have you tell us that you've got an alternate.
Yeah, so we just awarded a $3 million sewer extension that's going to go south of the I-plant through the Alexander's property under Keene Road and wrap around to the school district. The Alexanders wanted to modify that alignment based on their future development. And so this is vacating the old easement. They've already dedicated a new easement where our sewer extension's going into.
Very good. Thank you.
Great. Seeing no one else wishing to make comment, we have a motion on the table to approve resolution 42-26. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. Thank you, council. We are moving along. We've got a bunch of these. So next one up is item 8E and F for a public hearing and a resolution relating to a utility easement vacation for file number VACA-003-2026. Once again, I will turn to Ms. Ransom.
Excuse me. Thank you. So this, the easement vacation related to this application is for the 30-foot utility easements that were recorded on the face of Willamette Heights Section 6. The property owner had applied for applied for a building permit to build an accessory building. And during the building permit review, city staff found that the 30-foot easements shown on the plat of Willamette Heights Section 6 had not been vacated when the property owner applied for an easement vacation back in 2004. At the time, city staff did not understand that both the 33-foot historic offers of dedication would need to be vacated, as well as the 30-foot easements recorded on the plat of Willamette Heights, Section 6. As this was the city's oversight, city staff have put together the materials to vacate those easements at no cost to the property owner. If you'll recall, we did a similar application last year, also in Section 6, where the property owner had applied for the easement vacation, had received approval for the easement vacation, and then found that the easement, not all what they had applied for had not been granted completely due to staff errors. The site is 5450 Astoria Road. And it is Lot 8 of Willamette Heights, Section 6. And in attachment 4, you'll see that they're requesting a vacation, attachment 2, they're requesting 20 feet of the 30 feet to be vacated, and this will match what was vacated in Ordinance 1020. City staff routed the application to surrounding property owners as well as utilities, and the Public Works Department said they had no comments, and we received a few questions regarding the easement vacation from surrounding residents, but no comments in support or no specific comments regarding the easement vacation. Staff recommends that the easement vacation be approved by City Council. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ransom. I will now open the public hearing on this particular matter at 6:27 p.m. Is there anyone present in council chambers who would like to make a comment? Please come to the podium. Seeing no one, I will turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone who wishes to make a comment on this particular application for easement vacation, please raise your virtual hand or press star 9 on the telephone. I see no one attending online, Stephanie, who wishes to comment. Do you?
I do not see anyone, no.
All right, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing also at 6:27 p.m. and I will now turn to council.
I move to pass Resolution 4326, authorizing the vacation of a portion of the 30-foot utility easement for file VACA 003-2026.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Council, any comments, questions that have not been previously addressed? Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. For this particular lot, I'm curious, is this lot on septic or sewer, and where does the sewer line go through if it's on sewer?
It's on a pressure sewer that goes straight down the hill ties into Van Giesen behind the strip mall there.
Okay, that's what I figured. So it's not even along where this 30-foot easement would be. It goes just straight down in that, what did you call it at one point, a noodle tie-in?
It ties in down below, but yeah, it's what they're vacating. We previously vacated the 33s down to 10. This would make the overlapping 30-foot easement reduced down to 10. And so this resident's private pressure sewer line would be within the 10-foot that's being retained.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other questions, council, we have a motion and a second for resolution 4326. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you, council. We'll now move on to the next items. 8G and 8H are public hearing and a resolution regarding a utility easement vacation for file number VACA 004-2026. And once again, Ms. Ransom, I will turn to you for the staff report.
Good evening again. The applicants are John and Jacqueline Zangle, and they have submitted a request to vacate a portion of the 30-foot utility easement on their properties located at 1093 South 50th Avenue. It was recently subdivided, and the new legal description is Lot 1 of Short Plat 3840. They have asked to vacate the portion of the 30-foot easement on their property, which is the southern half of the old lot 164. It's in the 160s. The staff has routed out the completed application to both utilities and the surrounding property owners. And we received a few questions on it, but no objections to the proposal. And the Public Works Department had no comments on the easement vacation application. Staff recommends that the easement be vacated as proposed.
All right, thank you once again, Ms. Ransom. I will now open public hearing on this matter at 6:31 PM. Does anyone attending here in council that would like to make a comment, please come to the podium. Kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who'd like to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand. Another option is to press *9 on your telephone. I see no one online wishing to make comment. Do you, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:31 PM. And now, council, it is time for a motion.
I move to pass Resolution 44-26 authorizing the vacation of a portion of a 30-foot utility easement for file VACA-004-2026.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Council, time for questions. Are there any questions council members wish to pose that have not been answered? Seeing none, we have Resolution 44-26 with a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. Thank you once again, council. We'll now move on to approving a utility easement we are done with them. Wow. Thank you for the time and effort that the community development spent in bringing these together, and also council, thank you. We'll now move on to ordinance 17-26. It is item 8I is an ordinance relating to changes to transportation impact fees. I will now turn to Public Works Director Roscoe Slade to present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, next time we'll have to break it up, our staff report, so Alicia gets a break. So what you have before you is an update to the city's transportation impact fee program. The last time we had a comprehensive study done was from HDR back in 2004. So it's been a little while. It's past due. So the city council approved a contract with Transpo to do an in-depth look at the improvements needed associated with growth. And so what you have before you in your packet is a copy of that impact fee program study dated June of 2026. And a copy of an ordinance that would adopt the findings of that. For the record, impact fees is a payment of money imposed upon development as a condition of development approval to pay for public facilities needed to serve new growth and development, and that is reasonably related to the new development that creates additional demand and need for public facilities. That is proportionate share of the cost of the public facilities that is used for facilities that reasonably benefit the new development. So that's right out of the RCW quote there. West Richland's had an impact fee since 1993. I believe we were one of the first agencies in the area to enact them. These are fees that we collect from new development that we use for these roadway improvements that you see that add capacity. So when we built Bombing Range, when we widened Keene Road out, some of the Keene Road stuff we're doing, or adding a traffic signal at Bombing Range there, where we're adding capacity, a portion of that is eligible to be charged for these fees. One of the big things in the program is existing deficiencies. You can't, if you have a deficiency, you can't charge developers for that. So that excludes out of here. So if we have deficiencies, that's on our deal. It did look at, I think there was let me get the number here. There's $137 million worth of transportation projects planned over the next 20 years. Of that, just under 42 million is eligible under this transportation impact fee. So about a third. The rest will be on us to come up with grants, either state, federal, or other means. So when you look at this, sometimes you get the impact, you get the developers feel that they're footing the full bill. You can see that it's about a third of the actual cost, and then we look for other means to do that. In your packet outlines, so out of those $42 million, the traffic study looked at growth over the next 20 years and said we'll have nearly 9,500 more trips. And so taking the 42 million divided by those 10,000 trips gives you a PM peak cost per trip. And that's kind of how the fee is based on. And so currently our fees are about $1,990 per PM trip. Again, that was 2004 study with some CPI between now and then. The new study is showing that needs to increase to $4,410 per PM peak trip. So quite a change, doubles, but it's been 20 years. And because of that, we've had discussions with the council's utility subcommittee. They've reviewed this and had the same concern. That's a big jump all at once. You've got somebody maybe looking to buy a house, build a house, changing fees in the middle of that could cause issues. And so what's before you, the impact fee would not change until it would be stair-stepped over the next 3 years, with the first step increase not being effective until January 1st of 2027. So anybody currently in the building looking to buy or build a new house, buy a lot, they wouldn't be impacted. They'd have between now and the end of December to get their building permit in and be fully vested at that time. In your packet is impact fees, transportation impact fees for the other surrounding cities. You can see they vary quite a bit. Some of the other larger cities actually break their city up into districts and have different impact fees for different parts of their city. West Richland has it as a whole. We're smaller. And so a little bit of different. You can also see they vary based on when the last time they've updated it. Kennewick looks cheap, but they haven't updated it since 2015. So there'll be a time when that'll come due and have a big jump, similar to West Richland, because we waited too long to update the program. So before you is an ordinance, again, adopts the program. It sets increases the transportation impact fees for developments. There's tables based on whether it's single family or commercial or the different uses. It stair steps it over the next 3 years, with the first increase not till January 1st of 2027. And then starting in January 1st of 2030, we would go back to the CPI adjustments. One of the changes on the CPI, we used to use Seattle Index for consumer goods or something, really not related to transportation. And so in this ordinance, it uses a national standard that deals with transportation construction. And it's the same one that City of Richland just recently adopted. They found the same conclusion, that this is a better CPI to keep inflation with roadway costs. So again, this went to the utility committee with a due pass from Councilmember Smart, Ritchie, and Stoker.
All right. Thank you, Director Slade. I will now hear in-person comments on this topic. If there's anyone present here in chambers who would like to comment on this particular item, please come to the podium. Seeing no one, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who would like to comment on this particular agenda item, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 if you're talking through a telephone. I do not see anyone. Stephanie, do you?
I do not.
All right, seeing no one, Council, do I have a motion with regard to this action item?
I move
To adopt ordinance 1726 related to transportation impact fees, amending Appendix A of ordinance 02-10, amending sections 16.14.170, 16.14.180, and 16.14.290 of the West Richland Municipal Code and repealing ordinance 25-25.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any council comments, questions that have not been previously addressed? Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
Mr. Slade, I'm a little confused. Some of these called out intersection improvements are already improved, or are you thinking of more improvements, such as the Van Giesen and Belmont intersection? We just put in a roundabout. Are we going to do another one? Or are we going to retro? I mean, I thought that's number 11 on the map. Or were these just examples for possible? It's on the list, table 2. Page 10.
In the packet, it's
110.
page 110 of 240.
108 in the package, my package.
Which project again?
What?
Again, you didn't get the question beforehand, so I'm trying to answer. What project?
I know, but no, I'm just in looking over, some of the intersections have been improved and they're being discussed in this. Is it, and it,
Again,
Is-
so you've spent 355 money, which is some of these projects. So the study started in 2025. So some of
okay,
these,
so it
it
hadn't
will
been done yet.
capture,
Okay,
it will capture a few of these projects that were either started construction or just finished in 2025. So they would be included. I didn't capture which project you were specifically.
it was a discussion of intersections and costs
Oh,
and
Belmont and Van Giesen has additional improvements. It needs a shoe fly lane in addition to the single lane roundabout that's there.
oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions, council, we have a motion to adopt ordinance 17-28 as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. So we're now moving on to item 8J, which is a resolution to adopt revised procurement policies, and Finance Director Gwynn will make
All
the
right.
presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, council, citizens. This evening, I'm bringing back a revised purchasing and procurement policy for adoption that we discussed at the July 14th council meeting. This new policy modernizes our procurement framework, makes it more user-friendly, and positions us to amend it more efficiently as laws and requirements change over time. In addition, this policy updates the purchasing authority matrix. This is where the most comments were made from the last meeting. Council was not comfortable with the threshold at $25,000 for directors, $50,000 for public works director, and $100,000 for the mayor. The revised purchasing policy before you tonight has been changed to $20,000 for directors. Public Works Director can move forward with still dual approval with the Finance Director up to $40,000. And the mayor has authority up to $60,000 with dual approval with the Finance Director. Anything above $60,000 will need to come to council for approval. Attached within the packet is the full policy, which was also in the July 14th packet. Staff recommends passing the resolution.
Thank you, Director Gwynn, for the report. I'll now turn to public comment on this topic. Once again, invitation to anyone present that would like to make comment, please come to the podium. All right, seeing no one, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who would like to make comment, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 on the telephone. I see no one attending virtually who wishes to make a comment. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right, council, it's in your hands for a motion, please.
I move to pass resolution 4526, adopting the new purchasing procurement policy for the city of West Richland, superseding the existing policy in its entirety.
Second.
A motion and a second. Council, any questions that have not been answered in previous discussions or a previous council meeting? Councilmember Smart.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. I appreciate this process of this being brought to us making comments and then it being represented. And so don't get me wrong, I appreciate that. But there are some intricacies that I still don't have answers to that I'm interested in learning. So when I think about this, I guess it would be helpful to me to know of any examples of what kind of expenditures we're talking about here. I presume these are things that weren't specifically called out in a budget forecast that council had seen and approved prior. So like I'm guessing like if an air conditioner goes out and you know you need to sign off on a $20,000 contract to get it fixed that week. Can you provide some ideas of what we're talking about here?
So yes, the budget is passed at the fund level. So generally, when we do things within that budget, such as I'll take the State Route 224 project, for example. In the budget was $35 million for that project. But we can't just go out and spend the $35 million. We have contracts associated with those. Those contracts come to you. So the one, I think we had Apollo for $10 million that came to you and you approved that contract. We will have, let's see, I think we did one recently with the phone system needed to be upgraded. It is within our budget, but the contract to do was, I think it was 60,000. So this was like back in June, we brought that contract to you. So these are contracts that a lot of times they are already in the budget, but they're still contracts that need to be approved by you. Axon is another example. It was a contract, multi-year. It was in our existing budget, but it also ties us to future budgets. I think that one was about $240,000, if I remember correctly. And then we have smaller contracts that can happen. So it might be that maybe I have in finance, I'll have in my services line, I'll need to go out and I'll need to, I don't know, perform some kind of analysis. And I'm going to go sign a small $5,000 contract for outside help to get that. So that's a smaller item that I would go out and just sign it and continue moving on rather than the administrative burden of coming back here. But it is within my budget. Now, if it was outside of the budget, you would see it as a budget amendment where we would bring it to you and say, we have a budget amendment, but you wouldn't necessarily see the contract. So, but you would still see it if we were spending above our limit. Does that help answer?
Yeah, it does. So I think I had that understanding in general. I guess so is the issue here that we just can't predict items under I'm sorry, whatever the limits were, 60,000 and 40,000
So
at the time a budget is
predict
created?
them. So we can absolutely predict them. Like I said, we have predicted items. I'll use I think the crack ceiling. It's an annual contract that we do. Roscoe does it every year. It comes in the 60,000 mark. It's in our budget and it's just routine business. And it's just trying to create those efficiencies. Now, when the original limits were set, I think what did I say it was? 10 and 25 and anything above. That was set in, I think, 2011. So things were cheaper. Like you could easily do a HVAC replacement for 25,000.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just curious. So, I mean, it seems to me that if you have a $50,000 item, um, that you know you're going to spend, then obviously you would put that in as a line item in the budget process that we get to see and approve. If you have a $50,000 expenditure that comes up as a surprise, and whether it's within your overall department funding or not, well, let's just say it is. It's like you've got the money to cover it, but you didn't know you were going to spend that 50 on an air conditioning fixing contract, let's say, as an example. Then unless it is an emergency, I'm wondering why it wouldn't come to council so that we know about that. Or if it is an emergency or not, that we wouldn't have some reporting on that that sort of calls it out specifically and independently so that we know. I guess what I'm looking for is accountability, and not just for the citizens' gratification or knowledge, but also to protect staff, right? And just to make sure that everybody knows that everybody is on the up and up when we're signing a $50,000 check. So I guess like I said in my email, I don't have a problem with the limits. It does seem to me that if it's not an emergency, that it could come, like if Roscoe wants to buy a new lawn tractor for whatever, $50,000, $20,000. Sorry, Roscoe, I'm not picking on you here, but just saying as an example, like if he didn't put that in as a line item in his original budget for the year, and it's not an emergency, what is the amount of work that it takes just to bring it to council and say, I want to buy a $20,000 line item? Is that just doesn't happen now, I guess. And
There's quite a bit of staff time. Those staff
There?
reports,
Okay.
look at your staff reports.
well,
I mean,
okay. I mean,
I
but
mean,
for these, I think it would be.
This affects Public Works probably the most, because
Yeah.
80% of the budget comes through. And, asking an individual line item, I mean, you can look at equipment, there's $1 million in there, and there could be 70 things in there that are being bought that exceed my limit of $10,000 or the mayor's 25. So I've now got to go through the administrative thing to put together a staff report to come to council to buy it. That's the time. When you look, I mean, that's time I don't have a whole bunch of admin time to do that. This is the bureaucracy that we talk bad about at the state and federal level that we're at. With 100,000. You hire professionals to manage this. The state comes and audits this. You get in your packets, you get expenditures that you get to.
Yeah, we get a monthly report that has like 4,000 line items.
And that's what you'd be
most
having
of
coming
which
to
are
council
coded.
to approve.
Yeah, and difficult to
so
understand.
the ask was to raise it. I mean, I have on-call development comes in. I need to get water modeling done so I can tell them if they need to upsize the water main so they have fire flow. If I can't just go sign that contract, get them going, and I got to wait 3 weeks for the next city council meeting to then start the consultant to the work, you just delayed the development 3 weeks. So, I mean, it's that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a ton of spraying the road right away. It's another one. I think I just had to take a small one on a fence at the sports complex that was budgeted for. I mean, it's an enormous amount of staff time that would be better spent doing something else. You budget for it. It's included in the line item, but bringing every minutia contract before you, I'd hope that you'd allow your professional staff, our directors and mayor, a little more leeway rather than spend it doing these.
Right now, we don't see all of the, I mean, if you've got them as line items, like I'm gonna need a new truck this year, I'm gonna need 5 new trucks. I mean, that's pre-planned, and you don't have to bring that to us again to review that. So this happens right now, right? I mean, you buy a new $5,000 lawn tractor, and we don't have to see that because it's part of your budget that we understood at the beginning of the cycle. And what I think you're saying here is that these items that would fall under this rule are items that were not placed on the budget cycle in advance.
No, they are absolutely budget. They're absolutely
are.
budgeted, planned, and included in a big lump sum item. Maybe it's professional services for all our consultants, but it's not just one. It's probably 20 of them.
Yeah, okay, so
that
you're
will
saying
have
that,
to-
that this rule encompasses items that have previously been placed on a, on a, on a budget forecast that we have seen and approved.
Yes, so
Not an unknown new item. So like if the police chief, let me pick on the chief now. If he says he's gonna need, 10 new vehicles, that's in the budget. We all sit around and approve that.
Yeah.
And right now, as the rules work, he doesn't have to ask our permission for each one as he buys it, right?
except his vehicles, we have been the last couple
We
of
have
years.
been, but we don't have
Because
to.
it's a different scenario because it's a lease, so we're actually signing a contract.
Okay, I picked a bad example.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, but the idea is that we've already seen that and approved it. Well, let's pick some other topic. I don't know. New rifles or bulletproof vests or something. I don't know.
Councilman Sparta, it doesn't
Yeah.
so much with, I'd say, buying materials,
It's,
but it sometimes comes into it if my operators are buying a pallet of salt that
Uh-huh.
we use to make the low grade bleach for thing,
I
when
would-
they have a semi truck come, all of a sudden it exceeds their limit, exceeds my limit, and now I got to go hunt down the mayor.
I
Yeah.
would say water meters is maybe one of our big ones lately. So if we buy, in the budget, every year we have $50,000 worth of water meters budgeted in there. It's in the budget and we usually order them kind of in two slots. Well, it was a couple of years ago where it came in one big lump. So
Okay.
if those keep coming and those are bigger than the 25,000,
Well, yeah, but you're citing examples of things we've already agreed to fund.
Everything
what
is-
I'm
everything is.
asking, don't make me ask a question a different way. Is if something is not on the budget that we've already agreed to fund, salt, cars, whatever it might be. Go back to Roscoe. Roscoe wants a new dump truck, and he sees a great deal for $50,000. It's within his limit. Does he get to like go write a check for that unless you've asked us first?
No, if it's not in the adopted budget, I can't go spend it. So if it's not
That's
in the
an important
budget,
statement. That's what I
yeah,
was
yeah,
looking for.
it has to be in the budget that you've authorized at the fund level for me to
Okay.
go expend it. Then I've got to go through the proper channels to make sure we're getting the best, whether it's through the state bid or whatever, to procure it. And there's checks and balances with that. But if it's not in the budget, I only have the authority for what's in the budget up to my spending authority. And what we're asking for is typically it's contracts where I'm hiring somebody to spray. I'm hiring a consultant to do something without having to do the staff report to take to council. It's already budgeted for.
And so just to clarify, when you say it's in the budget, I know it's within the overall operational budget. You're not exceeding the amount of money that we have allocated, but it's also been called out as a general item, road maintenance or whatever you want to put that under, or
not
snow.
really,
Not
'cause
really?
we adopt the budget at the fund level. So we have in that very clear, you adopt the general fund at X amount of dollars. When we go through the whole process and we go through our budget process, we do spell everything out and you see what we're doing. But when you guys are actually adopting the budget, it's at the fund level. We can't spend above that fund.
Okay, so if we want to know if you've made an expenditure during a month that this rule had to be used for, that just means we have to go through the report that we get and look for anything over whatever the numbers are, 50 or 40 and $60,000 or whatever we landed on. Is that right? Is
No.
that how we would find out
How-
if this rule has been used or not?
It's very difficult because, like I said in the last one, is like, okay, I send the IRS probably like $89,000. Like you're gonna see the IRS $89,000. Well, that's all the salary wages. That's not a special contract, and that's not something that comes to you, but that is definitely over the limit. But that's not within. That's just normal operational. So yes and no, or we have a contract with, let's say, Apollo, but we already brought that contract to you, but I have several payments. I'm not going to have one $10 million payment. I'm going to have 1.2, 600,000 like every month.
Right, and we're aware of that even before it happens.
So
This
you want to
indicates
see
to
the
me-
contracts that we're executing that, like today, I can do up to a $10,000 contract. You want to see those contracts? Because you've authorized me to see it. You want to see them?
Well, actually, what I was thinking is that if they were highlighted, if it's something that we didn't already know about, I guess I don't think there's that many of them out there, right? Or you
There
know,
is
there's
a
lot-
ton. There is a
The
ton.
question is, what are you missing, Councilmember Smart, that you want? That
Yeah,
you
what I
feel you
want-
don't have?
What I want is I want protection for the people who are writing the checks, and I want protection for the public to know that, and accountability to know that there isn't a frivolous, and I'm not accusing here, guys. I mean, I'm not saying this happens, but I think that we're writing a set of rules and procedures here. And my concern is that we have something to fall back on that says, yeah, we know that we didn't buy five extra lawnmowers when all we needed was two. I mean, I know that's true, but by
There's checks
giving
and balances that are
I
built.
just don't, I don't have it. Like, I can't, if somebody comes to me and says, well, you know, what checks have, what $50,000 checks has Roscoe written this month? I'm like, well, I don't know.
I
guess
probably
have to
tell
look
you that's not your job as a council member. He can come talk to me and we'll give him a copy of it. It's
Or-
public record, but
Okay.
Roscoe hasn't actually written any, by the
yeah,
way.
I don't write checks.
Roscoe just gets the goods and you write the check.
John, there is a lot of these there's internal checks and balances that go through this. So don't think it's one person that signs the contract that then cuts the check or approves the invoice to cut that contractor a check. There's multiple checks and balances in my own department before it even goes to finance for them to review, make sure that's a viable vendor. There is actually a contract. Was the contract within the limit of a director? Is it in the budget? All that stuff happens. And so there's checks and balances internal on the public works side, and even before it gets to the finance, and they go out their own. And then you got the overriding mayor and then the state auditor that comes in. If there's federal dollars involved, now you get the feds looking at it too. So there's a lot of checks and balances that are put in this because you see it in the paper where embezzlement and different things. I can tell you that this city, every time the state auditors come through and made recommendations how to tighten up our things, that's been implemented. I mean, you can't be the person to order something and be the one person that said, that box of sprinklers, if you ordered it, you can't check the box that you received it. And you can't be the one that's approving to pay it. I mean, it takes almost 3 people just to get out of my department to get it to finance so that 2 other people can verify before that check's made. So
Oh, that's great to know. I'm sorry. I'm just
there's a lot of
that
checks and balances.
process.
But what's before you is changing the limits on these contracts, so I don't have to keep doing staff reports to come to council for stuff that's already budgeted. My original ask was give the mayor 350 and me 100,000, and they said, that's a big jump. And I said, of course it's a big jump, just like our TIF fees took a big jump because we don't keep up with inflation. You can look at the cost of anything since COVID, it's doubled. And like I said, all we're trying to do is more efficient, but if it's 40, 60, it will help a few more things, staff reports I don't have to take to council. If you want reports, I can email them out when I sign them, whatever you want. That would be easier for me to email it to you than to have to do a staff report and wait a couple weeks.
So you're saying we currently get reports? Go ahead.
Can I just
Well,
offer
hold
two
on,
examples?
hold on, Ken, hold on. Are you done? All right, Councilmember Stoker, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the last meeting we had in the payment of the bills, there were 2 that I remembered looking at and seeing, well, those are kind of curious. I wonder what that's all about. So there was the Caterpillar skid steer. And then there was a 2500 Chevrolet truck that was purchased. So, but I don't ever remember seeing those come to us. And those were pretty big numbers that are above this situation. So I'm still trying to, kind of like John, I think, figure out, are those things that
Those
fall
are,
under this, or
they're-
is this something else?
no, that was in the budget. Those are equipment that again, that's probably in the sewer deal, probably several $100,000. that you approve that amount. In my notes on the side, it spells out exactly
Okay,
what
so-
equipment.
that's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah,
Those
it's-
don't apply to the situation you're talking about.
No.
Because, like I said, when I'm perusing through, because after I read this both times, both months we've done this, I went back through the payment of the bills trying to identify, well, where are these scenarios coming from so that I would know what I'm looking at when I'm reviewing the payment of the bills.
Yeah, like I said, the time to look is you're going to see when we submit our budget, we're going to do 27, 28 budget. You're going to, in the sewer, we're talking sewer fund, you're going to see in the 401 sewer equipment, $585,000. And in my little column, I put all sorts of notes. So you know exactly what I'm planning to buy. I'm going to buy a new sewer camera truck for $500,000 and a pickup truck with a lift gate and all that for another $85,000. Now, as Aaron's telling you, you're adopting at the fund level, not the line item. But I'm telling you for the last 27 years, if I'm telling you that's what I'm going to buy with it, that's what I'm going to buy with it. If I need to say, I don't want to spend 500,000, you approved 500,000. I told you I was going to spend on this, but I want a Vector truck now. That's coming back to council. I don't have to, the way we budget, but that's just how we conduct business. It's not a bait and switch kind of deal.
And I guess I get that. My only thought is when I'm looking monthly at the payment of the bills, how do I know the differentiation between this policy and procedure versus something else that, like you said, the skid steer's already approved because you put it in your notes, and I'm cool with that.
It's pretty much for contracts. When we contract out for services, whether it's a consultant or somebody to come put a fence in the back of the sports complex. If it's an interlocal agreement, that has to come to council if we're doing something with a different city.
Okay.
But it's pretty much contract. So spraying the weeds, street striping, some of those stuff, if the limit was raised, I wouldn't have to put a staff report. I could just execute the contract and move forward.
Member Moran.
Thank you. Just from last month and also from what you've said tonight, I feel that I am strongly in favor of this because anything that can cut through bureaucratic tape, because we've already approved these things anyway as a line item in the budget, I feel like there's no need to micromanage what the staff is doing because that's the mayor's job. That's not the council's job. Our job is just the budget. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But I honestly was in favor of what we had last month. But hey, if we can start at least with something like this, I'm all for it. Thank you for putting this together again, by the way. I know that it's probably been a headache.
Councilmember Bloom, or Mayor Pro Tem Bloom, excuse me.
Either one. I just wanted to say that I reviewed this we had it in the finance committee, and I was quite comfortable with the $50,000, $100,000 limits that we had, because this is mostly getting into the contracting for items that we were planning. So it's not a budget amendment. It's not a budget amendment will come for you, but this is in the minutia of getting somebody to come do a job. It's not something new. You're confusing budget authority with a contract. This is the authority to initiate a contract. That's all it is. It's to sign the contract rather than waiting for city council approval of a contract. That's the difference. It's not new. It's not a budget modification. It's not a budget authorization. It's a contract.
Before I go to Councilmember Smartinez, is there any other council member wishes to make comment for the first time? All right, Councilmember Smart.
So we're talking about the classification of expenses here, and I'm hearing it coming out of, I'm still hearing two different competing definitions that don't jive with each other. Okay, I'm sorry, but I need to have this clarification. I'm certainly not, I don't confuse the idea that if you've got a contract planned, and I appreciate your notes, Roscoe, especially in the Public Utilities Department, You know, if we've given you, you know, whatever, $2 million, $5 million for some sort of classification of thing, and then you put the notes in that says it's going to include a skid steer and a contract for a new fence and a this and a that. And I don't confuse that idea with the fact that you can take those pre-planned, aforementioned items and write those checks for 50, 100, 150, 500, that whatever it is, without having to come and ask us again. And you don't right now. You go out and you buy your skid steer and we don't have to approve that. But there's another classification of expenditures where we haven't seen the notes, where your skid steer falls into a ditch and it can't be recovered. And you have to contract with somebody, you know, $10,000 to come dig it out or whatever the number is. Or maybe it's 50,000 to fix the thing. And what we're doing here is we're giving permission for our department heads to sign those new contracts, things that were not, they might be within the overall budget. You might have some contingency for things like this, but it was not previously called out. This is a classification of expenditures which is not called out in advance. And we're giving you permission to write, I'm just in the curricular saying write those checks. I understand that you don't write the checks. But we're giving you, yeah, we're giving you the permission to make those expenditures, those non-emergency expenditures, without council's knowledge, permission. I mean, I shouldn't say knowledge, because we'll find out eventually if we manage to dig through that multi-thousand line expenditure list that we get every month. And I guess what I'm asking is I'd like to at least know which things fell under this set of rules. That's what this set of rules is for. It's not for the things that you've pre-planned or that you've pre-informed us about. It's not those.
I feel like contracts are different than purchases, and I don't know, maybe Jessica
Call it a
can.
contract to repair the
Because
skid steer.
Contracts are like legal requirements for that we are like as a city, we're bound by there. If you read a contract, there's a bunch of language in there. And so it's legally binding us to something. And that could be whether it's a grant agreement, that's a form of agreement or contract.
I know what contracts are. Yes.
But that's what I'm saying is like, because, and I think that's where the difference is a contract is more than just a purchase. So that's where the authority limit is, because now we're legally bound and we're saying that a director cannot legally bind us to any more than 20,000 in this instance. Whereas, and I think that's where one of the big differences is with like a purchase versus a contracted purchase, because we may write a contract. You can still sign a contract for like a JUB contract. We sign it for $25,000 at the beginning of the year, but I will write them a $4,000 check this month, a $3,000 check next month, a $2,000 check next month. So you may never see it if you're looking at the expenditures, but it is something. And so I would say we still have a contract. I still report those contracts in our annual report.
But you're talking about contracts that we already have known about in advance. And I'm
necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Councilmember
I'm
Smart,
talking about
so my budget, when I put it together,
Yeah.
I've got repairs, maintenance for facilities, equipment. I know the age of those equipment. I'm putting money in there that 14-year-old truck may lose its transmission. So it's in the budget for those
Okay.
type of things. It may not happen, and I'll carry it over to the next year because it's going to happen. So I don't have to come back to Aaron and say, I need $5,000 because the transmission dropped out of a deal. It's already planned for.
Okay.
So I don't have to do a budget amendment. I'll go take the truck to the dealership and get it fixed because I've already planned for that. It's already budgeted.
Okay, so what you're saying, and I appreciate the time you're spending, is that there are no expenditures under this rule that aren't already covered under some overarching line item which we've approved.
Yeah, that's correct. But you approved it at the fund level, not the line item
Yeah, I get
deal.
that.
So some of the things, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Councilmember Smart, but there's been a few times where we've had emergencies for stuff that has not been budgeted. So, and there's an RCW that covers it. And the most current, well, we've had two just recently. Remember where the water line broke on 38th, washed the whole road out?
Right.
Okay, I didn't wait to come to council. That was an emergency. per the RCW, I got to concur with the mayor. Yep, he concurs. That's an emergency. I go get a contractor on the site to go remedy the immediate need. And then I think the RCW says the next council meeting or within 2 weeks, I have to take a resolution that council concurs that with my decision, the mayor's decision, this is an emergency and provides the authorization. So that's an example outside of where it's not budgeted, but the RCW gives me the authority to move forward, but I have to
And-
after the fact. And we've done it with the flood that washed out the access road to the wastewater treatment plant. So those are pretty rare. For the most part, we try to plan for the various items out there. But this limit where it's going to benefit me personally as Public Works and save me administrative time is the contract for services that I don't have enough authority to sign the contract, or the mayor doesn't have, so I have to do a staff report and then take it to council. It's not that it's an emergency, it's just, again, it's more bureaucracy for the day-to-day stuff. And like I said, the other cities don't want to get in the weeds with that stuff, and that's why they allow 350 and 100,000. But if you want to see those contracts, once they're signed, I mean, they get emailed to Stephanie and Aaron because they have to keep track of every contract. I can email them to council too, if you want to see them.
No,
Um,
and I'm sorry.
But I
didn't
just don't
copy-
want to do the staff report.
I
That's
didn't
all I'm trying
copy
to
you
get
on
out of
this email, but I had called out like, an emergency, and then being informed a couple weeks later is absolutely fine. And that's what you just stated. And I'm in total agreement with that. So, as long as that, and I know that that happens, but it just wasn't in the language of this policy. Like it doesn't actually say that as far as I know.
Emergencies are in the RCW.
It's in
So you have to go to the
RCW.
RCW for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it in there?
She references it in.
Okay. All right. That's enough discussion on that, guys. I'm
So-
so sorry for keeping everybody.
These are all good
for
questions, Councilman
half
Smart.
hour.
And
I'm glad it's on the record, and that's what I wanted to hear, and I appreciate your time.
they're all good questions. And if you want to take a deeper dive, you're on my streets and utility subcommittee. I can put that on our next meeting agenda and give you updates on the contracts I'm signing so you can see them. And then you can see when the bills are paid,
Right.
to match them up, whatever you need, but it's there.
Very good. Appreciate that.
Councilmember Stoker, do you have additional questions?
Yeah,
or comments?
I just wanted to say, you brought up JUB engineers, right? So, and we see requests to, expand the limit of what we're allowing to contract with JUB engineers. Is that the type of situation you're talking about? Because I just skimmed by it because I know JUB engineers all the time. And so I just,
Yeah.
okay, those are approved.
So
I'm
I
okay
know-
with that one and went on by.
For
I went back to
example,
look and-
Roscoe, every year he'll go and to get rolling and get started because JUB, their on-call services ends December 31st of every year. So January of every year, he goes into the mayor's office. He's like, blanket, I need $25,000 to get me rolling for the year. We go by probably January and February. And then he's bringing it back to you and saying, okay, I need to up my on-call services to $50,000. You can probably look, at least since I've been director, you can look at the record, the last 5 years, he's done that. So in this case, what that would do, it would say, not come to you until it hits above $60,000, which I think most of them have been 50. I think we have gone up to 75 a couple years.
Right, okay, because like I said, in the report, I see JUB engineers. I'm like, cool, I already know about them. I'm moving on, even though there's a line item for $47,591. I'm like, cool, we've approved it. Go on, move.
Yeah, we have several contracts with JUB.
Yeah, and you'll have to dig and look at which project because they've got multiple. They've got, there may be an on-call with water modeling. We may use their surveying division. They're doing our water system plan. They're involved with well 2, well 3. Then you see RH2. They're doing studies with Richland for the intertie. They're doing our regional water forecast update. They're doing the Belmont. So so just because you see a payment to a consultant, I don't know if it has enough detail where they can actually match it up with the contract.
Well, it does say wastewater facility.
Okay, so you got enough detail, so you know what
So
project.
there's a little bit
Perfect.
there, but there were some of them I was reading them, I'm like, well, I don't know what that means. So I understand, I'm trying to understand what this affects. How is this when I look at things, what am I going to garner out of this and how do I identify it? I appreciate, again, coming back with this, just like the others have stated. And so I just wanted to know, how does this affect me? How do I identify it on the reports that I see? I mean, for me, even if it was just a quick report like the police do at their, these are the number of incidents we had this month. If it was just, here's your list of contracts we signed this month or whatever. Even that would be something, but I don't want to add more work either. I just want to understand. So thank you for taking that time and helping me understand.
I see no other comments or questions from council. We have resolution 4526 for approval. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, thank you, council. I would also, for council members that wish to learn more about budgeting and municipal finance, Councilmember Cole is attending an excellent class that I've attended in the past, put on by the Association of Washington Cities. If your schedule permits, I highly encourage you there. It will help provide a good foundation for your oversight roles with regard to budgeting and finance. So, and I'll be happy to help facilitate that, being an AWC past president now. All right. Moving on to Resolution 46-26. It is to update City Council rules, and Stephanie Haug will present the staff report. City Clerk Haug, go ahead, please.
All right, thank you. Before you tonight is Resolution 4626, which would adopt the updated City Council Rules of Procedure, which would become effective September 1st, 2026. The rules of procedure serve as the framework for how council meetings are conducted. They establish expectations for meeting administration, public participation, council member conduct, and the legislative decision-making process. As you recall, at your council retreat in April, you conducted a comprehensive review of the existing rules of procedure and discussed a number of revisions aimed at improving clarity, efficiency, and consistency. This isn't introducing new concepts tonight. It's the culmination of the discussion and direction you provided during that retreat, with staff incorporating those changes into a final document for your consideration. The revised rules include organizational improvements, procedural clarifications, and updates to reflect current best practices and applicable Washington state law. If approved, as I stated, they will supersede the current version and become effective on 9/1/26. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 4626, adopting the revised City Council Rules of Procedure.
Thank you, City Clerk Haug. We'll now hear in-person comments on this topic from individuals attending tonight. If there's anyone present here in chambers that would like to make a comment on this particular item, please take the podium. All right, seeing no one, I will turn to our virtual attendees. If there is anyone attending virtually who would like to make a comment on the council rules of procedure, please raise your virtual hand. You may also press *9 if you're calling via telephone. I see no one indicating they wish to speak online. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right. Council, may I have a motion then for this resolution?
I move to approve Resolution 46-26, amending the City Council Rules of Procedure.
Second.
A motion and a second. All right, council, before we begin any discussion, you're all laughing. I would just like to bring up one item, please, just for your attention. Rule 6, and this would be on page 14 of the Council Rules of Procedure. There was one oversight that myself and the city clerk discovered earlier today, and this deals with Rule 6, Order of Business Adjournment, which is 14 sub A. The text there reads, in the event of the hour of 10:30 p.m. is reached, and it appears the meeting will not conclude by 11 p.m. essentially. It was a provision to reschedule the remaining business or shuffle the schedule, whatever might be. Take action necessary to expedite meeting completion or continuation. Given this was written when the council meetings started at 7, I would ask council to consider changing those hours to 9:30 and 10 p.m. respectively, so that, because if we continue it to 10:30 after 4.5 hours, and it's only been an hour and a half tonight, minds are clouded, fogged, and pretty much dead. So I would ask council to consider making that as an amendment with others you might wish to put forward tonight. So I will open it up for council comment, if there is any. If there isn't, we'll move on. Okay, there is council comment, as I figured there might be. All right, I will start with Councilmember Stoker.
Okay, I believe I was the sole council member who was not able to attend the retreat, as I was on an airplane to Ann Arbor at the time. So I do have a few things. Forgive me if they were already discussed and addressed in the retreat. My first thought is, so under Rule 5, Council Agenda, Section A, setting the agenda, the last sentence says, the presiding officer or 4 council members may introduce a new item to the agenda. I'm kind of taking issue with 4 council members. In order to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, 4 council members can't consult before a meeting to figure out any item that they want to have on the agenda. So it seems a bit excessive, or at least it seems like something that would prevent council members from ever getting anything on the agenda.
I will let City Clerk Haug respond to that particular point.
Yes, so the reason why that states, because in order for the council to take action, they must have a majority. They act as a body. So individual council members don't have the authority to make those changes. So the idea of this is that, so before every meeting, we approve the agenda, right? So that would be where there's a motion and a second, and then approval of a quorum to add an item to the agenda, which is what this is relating to. The other opportunity would be for a motion of the council with a second and a affirmative vote to place an agenda item on a future agenda.
Okay, well, I would hope that we could find ways to be better at addressing particular situations. I guess next is Rule 8, public comment. Section A, public comment. Then paragraph 1. It's already been in our council procedures all along, I think, because it's not highlighted in red, but I just want to place emphasis that when we ask individuals to make comments, that they give their name and city of residence. We tend to, forget this and ask for addresses. And I really believe in a society that has come, there are people out there who love to dox those they disagree with. And, I don't like having public comment individuals' addresses on the record that people can then go to harass them after the fact. So if we could just find ways to better reinforce that we're only asking for their city of residence and not their address. That's something that's been grating my teeth for a while now, and would like to have that corrected, please.
And Councilmember Stoker, that is a very good point. I think that City Clerk and I went through this today to make sure that there was no reference to providing address. And even tonight, I tried to make a conscious effort to ask people just state city of residence.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to point any fingers.
No, you make a good point, so thank you.
Then in paragraph 5, it says the following language will be posted in the city council chambers, and then there's a pretty wordy paragraph. I'm wondering, how are we going to do that? Where are we going to do that? I mean, my first thought was, are we putting it on a piece of paper on the podium? Well, anybody who reads through that has lost maybe half of their 3 minutes to speak. So are we creating a plaque to put on one of the walls, or what are we doing? Whoops, paragraph 5 under the same section I was in. So it's the last part of page 16. Well,
Councilmember,
Rule 8 in section A, public comment, and then there's paragraph 5 or element 5, or what do you want to call it?
so we currently have our rules posted right there at the entrance where you pick up the agenda. There's also a QR code. So we do have current audience conduct protocols. So that's where they're posted. There's also a QR code on that flyer to download or to view the agenda online. So the intent would be that that sign would be updated.
Okay. Well, I was just sitting here thinking, we're going to put a plaque on the board and then you got to have letters that's so big. Are we taking out a whole wall for this plaque? All right, continuing on. Sorry, I've got to scroll through a few pages here.
That's okay.
One more, but. Well, I got to that one and I was thinking, don't I have another one? But maybe it is just that one. So in miscellaneous, which is Rule 13, Section F, seating arrangement. This is on page 21 of the document, 195 of our packet. It references council seniority. And Mr. Mayor and I have had this conversation at the beginning of the year, but right now I feel seniority is kind of, it's not defined, therefore its implications are wishy-washy. The way we're currently sitting is not potentially per that designation. So I would like us to work out what this council seniority means.
Yeah, the other paragraph is at the discretion of the mayor, but regardless of that, the definition that I have traditionally used in my discussion is a continuous holding of the office. And if it's a break in service, there's a break in service, but it's term continuity.
Okay, so I just feel like that.
If
needs
you wish
be
that to be
defined.
articulated, we could add that in
Right.
there. All right.
Because, I'm thinking, what if there's a council member who's been on the council for 4 terms, decides to run for mayor on the same election cycle that their term comes up, so they can't run for both. So they run for mayor and they lose the mayor. They come back 2 years later on the next cycle and they get back on. We just disregard their previous 16 years of service.
Well, they'd be seated where Mr. Ritchie is right now.
As long as everybody accepts that and is okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that seems like a pretty senior person that has lots of background and knowledge on the functions that we do up here.
I don't disagree with regard to overall experience, Councilmember Stoker, but I have never thought either that absolute positioning is a measure of an individual's effectiveness or experience. All have equal voices here on the council.
And I don't disagree with that. But like I said, right now, we're not currently sitting that way.
Well, we can make an amendment then to this document, and I would once again ask that it be posed as a motion that it be based on term continuity. So I would need council to make a motion to amend the current motion to add those words, if you wish to do it.
I move to amend section F regarding seating arrangement as previously discussed to define council seniority as with a comma, continuous service.
I will need a second.
Second.
Right? Any further discussion on this particular amendment to the motion?
I would just ask that we review the specific grammatical language, but yes, I totally agree with the sentiment there, and I think it's clear.
All right, okay. Any other comment, council? All right, then all in favor of passing the motion to amend to include term continuity or continuous service, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. All right, so we will make that amendment. Is there anything else you wish to bring to discussion, Councilmember Stoker?
No, but I think that was
All
my
right.
last one.
I will turn to Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. Sorry. Gotta find my place. Let's see. All right. So I would like to at least just point out something that is a change that might have not entirely been recognized by some folks, but sorry, it's kind of at an angle. Rule 1 under L. So that is page 9 of the rules and page 183 of 238. And if you're looking at the PDF, it's 185 of 240, if that makes sense. It does talk about here the post-meeting interactions.
Excuse me, Councilmember
Sorry.
Moran, which specific item on page 9? Rules.
L,
L, thank you.
post-meeting interactions. It's all good. Near the bottom. I just would like to make certain that everybody understands what that says. I'm perfectly fine with it. It just says that following adjournment of official city meetings, staff are discouraged from engaging in informal discussions and generally states that the staff are to request any informal discussions be taken through official channels, while informal discussions with elected officials can be performed, but must be performed outside of the council chambers. So after the meetings, any informal discussions with elected officials have to be outside of the chambers. I know everybody likes to stay in here. I do too, but this just states that we are not going to be doing that so that there's no misunderstanding of informal versus formal.
It's spelled out there. I thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you highlighting that.
Yes. So also for Rule 8, A1, and that is, I should have brought my glasses.
Dealing with public
8.
comment.
Yes. So it's at the top of page 16 of the rule book or 190 of 238 on the page or 192 of 240 in the PDF. For rule number 1, I do want to recognize that it is no longer allowing remote comments. I am fine with that only because of the Zoom bombers, but I want to make certain that that is well known because it might be overlooked, as we've been allowing remote comments previously, even including at this meeting. But we have had Zoom bombers on occasion, and it was a bit jarring, to say the least. So that is something that I wanted to point out as well.
And I will just add one comment, if I may, Council. I think the general feeling was, and it is still true, we do get number of comments submitted written, we get written comments submitted before many meetings, which are, of course, provided to council. So there's no impediment to individuals being able to express their opinions through the entire process. But it really is an effort to minimize and in this case, eliminate Zoom bombing, which we all have experienced and the Planning Commission has also experienced.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I just wanted to make certain that that was very clear to folks that that was there. And I didn't know, where is the section that specifically states that our meetings are starting at 6 p.m.? I could not find that.
You know that one?
Well, that's actually in our municipal code. But I believe it is on Rule 1B.
Okay, does our municipal code actually state 6 p.m. now, or does it state 7 still?
It's Rule 1B is an exact citing of West Richland Municipal Code 2.04.010.
Okay, perfect. Has there been a motion yet for Rule 6A to change the times from instead of 10:30 PM and 11 PM to state 9:30 PM and 10 PM?
There has not.
I would like to make that motion. Do I need to make it in a specific way or just
Um,
to change those times?
Just that you will move to amend Rule 6A 14 sub A times from 10:30 to 9:30 and from 11 to 10 respectively.
Yes, I make that motion.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Now, council, we will have a vote. If there's no more discussion on this particular amendment, is there anyone wish to comment on this amendment change? All right, do you have a comment, Councilmember Stoker?
Well, I'm just going to say I'm probably going to vote against that. I don't see any value in making that change in my own mind.
Okay. Any other comment? All right, then we will vote.
Sorry, I would just comment and say that while I am a night owl and normally I would agree with that, I know that there are some folks here that I think still work at Hanford and might have very early mornings. So I think it would be a very long meeting.
And it's also done out of consideration of our audience attendees who might have to work in the morning.
Yes,
I see
that-
nodding of heads,
Yes.
yes. So,
But having said that, I think it depends on why the meeting is taking that long. I mean, are we getting lots of public input that is making that a necessity? I mean, we could be here till 2 o'clock in the morning, as far as I'm concerned, if the public is actively engaged in these discussions and giving us input on the items that we have on the agenda. I ran to listen to the people. I didn't run because it might be convenient for me all the time.
if I may comment, Councilmember Stoker, it would just be a continuation of the meeting the next day when minds are fresh. Nothing would change, the order of business and so forth. So I will leave that. If there's other comments, please put your placard up just so I can take them in order. All right. Councilmember Smart.
Yeah, so I agree. I just think that this council needs to be accustomed to continuing meetings and continuing topics when it makes sense and when it's necessary. And I'm also very open to the next day if necessary, or have a special meeting the next week so we don't have to wait 2 weeks. But I just think that's what I would say is I think that to be respectful of our audience, like, don't make them stay up until 2 o'clock. Give them the option to come back the next day or at the next meeting. But I get it. I'm a night owl too. Very late bedtime for me.
All right. It's important for me to point out, if you read the entire text of it, that any action to adjourn the meeting requires a majority of council to do that. So hopefully that puts some of your concerns at ease. All right, so now we will vote on the amendment to change the hours from 10:30 to 9:30 and from 11 to 10 respectively. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
Nay.
All right, motion carries for the amendment as presented. Councilmember Moran, did you have anything else?
No, I do not.
Okay,
At this time,
Oh.
thank you.
all right, I'll turn to Councilmember Smart.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go back to 8A1. I think that's the one that talks about not allowing citizen comment from remote locations. I guess I don't agree with it. I would like to see us come up with a technical solution to a problem like that. If somebody's bombing us with whatever it is, either in language or graphics, I'd like to talk to our IT person. Isn't there a way we can immediately pull the plug? I mean, I really don't like the idea of giving council members the ability to call in. I do like the ability to let them call in and make comments and participate in the meeting, and I think that our citizens should be afforded the same courtesy. So I think I really appreciated one of the rare silver linings of the COVID pandemic, that we all got used to working on Teams and calling in remote and making that functional. I really think it's great. I think it encourages public participation, et cetera, right? So I just don't agree that we should cancel that. I do think we should have the capacity to have a technical solution, mute button, disconnect the video. And I don't know, I'm not a technical expert myself in there, but it sure seems like we ought to be able to do that almost instantaneously. If I think about the instances that we've had, I mean, we might have seen a flash of something, but a person on the ball should be able to push a button and say, you're offline. I don't know. I'd like to know if that exists. If that exists, I'd rather do that than just say citizens can't call in.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you've had to handle these. Can you elaborate a little bit on some of the challenges, please, City
Sure.
Clerk Howard?
So part of why that's difficult is typically when someone's doing that, they also do other things which moves them around on the Zoom screen, which makes it really hard to, like, the solution for that is basically to shut down the meeting to stop, which is really disruptive to then set it all back up to continue on with business, which is, I mean, I agree that in the, it's a moment of something inappropriate, but it's really the fallout of the meeting being disrupted and what it takes to get back online to continue. So that's the
Okay,
May I?
yeah, I'll just ask, I mean, have we talked to Brad about this? Is there some way?
I actually know more about the Zoom than
You know
Brad
more
does.
about the Brad, okay. All right, appreciate that.
Councilmember Stoker, you had a comment, please?
Well, I guess my question is Zoom our only avenue for non-attending citizens to see the meeting now?
So there are other options, but it's the same. The issue is that we have it open so anyone can join. There's no way to authenticate who's participating on the other end. So, it's lovely to think that it's only actual people with good intentions who want to participate in our meeting. But the reality is that there are people that don't live in West Richland and their sole goal is to bomb meetings and be disruptive. So
And I can understand that and I can accept that, but at least before COVID, it was on a charter channel or something, right? Some cable TV channel that you could watch the proceedings and you had no interaction. And if we still have that, then I'm not sure why we need to have Zoom at all if we're not going to allow public input. Well, if it's for other council members, then we don't allow the public in on Zoom, period. If there is another way for them to be able to view the meeting, but we're not going to let them speak, I don't see how it's any different than they watch it on YouTube or they watch it on Charter TV. If we're going to have Zoom, I would prefer to just let them go ahead and be able to have comments. I feel bad that we're going to punish all the other citizens who want to have good interaction with us as a city council because of a few bad actors in the community, in the nation, and around the world, whatever it is.
Councilmember Moran, did you have a comment on this?
Yes, I do specifically on this. So for me, it actually really pains me to be in favor of this. And I guess part of it is also a legal question. I'm wondering, just as if we were to have a person in person to state something, is there anything different than if they were to be connected remotely and say something? Like, are we allowed legally to stop them?
I mean, that is a concern, right? The First Amendment is pretty expansive. Obviously, with some of this Zoom bombing, it's been pretty patently obscene. So that makes it easy. But certainly, if someone's, saying things that are somewhat offensive, but they don't rise to the level of fighting words or obscenity, that could be a concern. And really, we have kind of the same remedies we do in a normal meeting where we are able under the OPMA to cease the meeting if we can't continue business, if the person is unruly and unable to be controlled. But obviously, it's not as simple as having law enforcement escort them out when they're on Zoom. So I think that is a valid concern.
Yeah. So I think with that, I would have a hard time unless there is any way to legally and quickly cut a mic for something like that. I think that is where the problem lies when it comes to remote participation. I would love to allow remote participation. I think it's been fantastic. I think it's important because some people, that's the only way they can interact. However, with this growing Zoom bombing that we've had, and thankfully we haven't had it as bad as others have, without the legal non-gray area, I feel like we're going to have to, at this point, until we can come up with a better solution, not allow it at this time and just allow people maybe to email, and maybe just we're watching emails as they show up. So somebody might be able to email in the middle of the meeting, and we are able to go, hey, there's a comment that shows up in email. I don't know if that's possible because you got a lot going on in meetings, Stephanie. Yeah.
In fact, the policy has that if anyone, looks at the agenda and they wish to submit comment on those items, or they just would like something, if they submit it to the clerk by 3 p.m., then it will be distributed.
Gotcha. But in regards to not having it on Zoom at all, I think it's important to have it on Zoom because when it was on Charter, people like myself that didn't have access to Charter couldn't watch it at the time it was occurring. And when it comes to YouTube, you're not able to watch it immediately. It comes, the next day normally? If you're not right on top of it, it's maybe 2 days after, but normally it's the next day.
Yes, and that is something we would need Zoom for to continue the YouTube.
Right, exactly. So if we don't have Zoom, then we would only have Charter.
We don't have Charter
Right,
anymore.
and we don't have Charter, so we wouldn't have any way for somebody to remotely see it at this point unless we went and got a different contract. So,
Thank you, Councilman Moran. I think Mayor Pro Tem Bloom, you had comment?
My only comment was clarification. The or remotely is scratched out. Does that mean that the final version will just not be there?
correct.
The second part of that is, should we say for in-person meetings, should God forgive, that we don't have another COVID and we're forced into virtual meetings? Do we want to make that this is for in-person meetings only?
Point of information?
Yeah,
Is that for council members is what I want to ask? Is he asking that
There's-
council members have to be in?
yeah,
person?
there's been no desire or intent to restrict the council members' ability to attend and participate.
Well, no, I'm talking about if we are forced by a COVID event that we are going virtual, do we want to put a not for non-virtual meetings, period, type of thing?
If we had an event like that, then we wouldn't be operating under most of these rules would be not applicable, and we'd have to operate under
We
emergency.
wouldn't have to provide
Yeah,
for that.
because-
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there additional comments on this point of discussion?
Yes.
Eh?
I mean, I think this is a big enough issue that I might be a no vote just on this particular topic.
Okay, I'll just clarify, there's been no motion to change it yet, so we would need a.
Well, that's why
motion.
we're discussing
Yep,
this
yep.
whole thing. I'm saying I would be a no vote on the primary resolution for this as a package by this one element.
Okay, so. Okay, all right.
I would like to move that we do continue to allow remote comments from citizens. So my motion would include to take out the strike through and keep or remotely.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Stoker. We need a second.
Second.
All right, motion and a second on this. We've had considerable debate. Is there anyone else that wishes to discuss this topic? Seeing none, we'll vote on the proposed amendment to strike the word remotely. A vote of yes is to strike the word remotely.
Nope, that's not I'm saying.
To unstrike it,
Right.
excuse me, to unstrike it. You know, it's good I got you guys here, so, all right. So once again, if you vote yes, you are looking to unstrike remotely and to essentially keep things the status quo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I count, where, did you say aye, Mr. Ritchie? All in favor, say no, or all against, say no.
No.
All right, 3 ayes, 3 noes. I vote no. In other words, we will keep, no. Yeah, no, we will strike remotely. Yep.
I'm sorry, who were the affirmative votes?
The affirmative votes. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Have you brought up everything you wish to?
I have, thank you.
Okay.
I
Mayor Pro Tem?
Oh,
Are you good?
I was just going to say, I appreciate not being deputy mayor.
Okay. Yeah, and you missed that one, Councilmember Stoker, but there was a potential title change for Mayor Pro Tem Bloom to deputy mayor, but he chose to not accept it. Anyway, all right, so we have our amendments as proposed. So the motion on the table now is to approve ordinance 4626 as amended. Is that correct, Stephanie?
That is correct.
All right. Councilmember Moran?
Apologies, I knew I had something else. Just a question regarding Rule 11C 4, which is page 19 in the packet, or 19 in the rules, or 193 of 238 of the packet, and 195, 240 in the PDF.
And
So
what's
it's
the item?
C4.
C4.
The change at the end of 4. So I just want to make sure I understand, and maybe there's a change that might need to be made, because I thought that, so committee chairs, aren't those actually subcommittees, or does it matter?
Yes, they are subcommittees.
Does it need to state subcommittee there, or can committee be?
Says subcommittee right after that. The subcommittee shall select chair.
Okay.
Yep.
So it says committee chair, the subcommittee shall select a chair from amongst the members by majority. This chair shall report activities following committee meetings. So do we need to make it say the same thing each time, or does it matter?
Does it matter from a legal standpoint or from?
I don't think it necessarily matters. I think we definitely need to be consistent so that there's no question about what it is. I don't know if there's a preference from the clerk.
So the entire section is City Council Committee Charter. And the reason this section says subcommittee is to make it clear of who is participating in selecting the chair of the committee. So to be clear that it's not a committee of the whole, which would be the whole council. And this is saying that the subcommittee, which is the committee. If that,
So is it the subcommittee chair, or
it's the committee chair,
who's the committee?
the 3 council members.
The subcommittee.
It's a committee of the council. But the reason this section says subcommittee is to make it clear that it's not the council that is electing the chair of the committee. It's
Right.
The subcommittee itself.
I guess that's why I was confused. I would hope the consistency, but if it's something that isn't required and not preferred.
however council prefers.
You want to make that change? If so, make a motion.
Well, actually, which motion do we? have to make
It
here?
would be
Just finish that
an amendment.
amendment. Yeah, this
Yes.
would be the amendment.
Uh,
But the other thing I just wanted to point out is that any agenda items that receive a do pass recommendation from a subcommittee, the chair of that subcommittee will present the subcommittee's recommendation to the full council and facilitate its consideration. I just wanted to make sure everybody caught that part.
Yeah, and in certain cases, of course, staff will assist the subcommittee chair in the presentation of it. And we had
Okay.
that very discussion with the subcommittee on utilities tonight because Councilmember Smart's the chair, but it was felt it was best presented by the Public Works Director. So anyway, Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem?
On that topic, many of the do pass are on the consent agenda. So if they're on the consent agenda, there's no need to present, correct?
Fair.
Correct.
No, I just wanted to make sure that in general, people recognize that so that we would make certain that we would create chairs in our subcommittees. But I would like to make a motion that for number 4, where it says committee, that any of them where it's just committee gets changed to say subcommittee so that it is clear that it is a subcommittee chair for the subcommittees.
So you're making a motion to amend C4 to state subcommittee chair, correct?
Yes, Rule 11
Yep.
C number 4, where it says committee in each place, it would be subcommittee.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion further on this particular item?
Yes, I would suggest an alternate approach, much simpler. The wording, change it to committee.
Okay, I think we're back.
All right, I did say 3 minutes, though. I am obligated to wait, correct? All right, so we've got 2.5 more minutes. Okay. Quick restroom break. You're fast.
Motion's not involved.
Error.
I want to do that. There's 2 really motions. I was like, they have to read for the general. Yeah. Very uncomfortable. So if you want to see me stalled. All junior rather should be UW. Yeah. What you do, I'll never go. People in comfort building are using the restroom with. I'm fluid. I'm not.
I got roughly 30 seconds. Does that sound right? All right. I rely on legal counsel to guide me on this.
It was 8:02, so I think at 8:05 we'll be safe.
All right. It is 8:05, so we will reconvene our meeting. So I believe we left things with a motion to amend on the table. Rule 11 C4.
I actually, I would like to restate my amendment after reconsidering, if I may, and I would just have to have the second re-second. Is that correct?
You can either withdraw your motion or you can amend your motion that then,
That requires another vote.
yes.
I would like to withdraw my motion and make a different motion.
That's good, Stephanie, for Robert's rules. But the second also has to agree, correct? Or
I know, getting into the The deep tracks
All
here.
right, just agree.
Yeah, I agree to retract the first
Okay,
motion.
so
Okay.
where do we
Yes.
stand?
So
Just agree.
for Rule 11, under C, number 4, I would like to amend it to state the committee, each committee shall select a chair so that it's consistently committee and it's clear that it's each committee shall select. So just changing the first 2 words after committee chair to say each committee.
I'll second.
Yeah. Okay, does everyone understand what the motion is? All right, is there any discussion on this? All right, seeing none, we have a motion to amend, as presented by, Councilmember Moran. And a second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. All right. Are there any other considerations before we take on the main motion to approve Resolution 4626 as amended? I see no other cards up. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
Okay.
I count 4 votes in favor, 2 votes against. Councilmember Smart and Stoker voting against, correct? Okay, motion passes. All right, council, thank you for your patience and deliberation tonight. We have no unfinished business. We also have no new business. And next up is the second opportunity for public comment. So I would invite anyone who wishes to make public comment to come to the podium. Please restrict your comments to 3 minutes.
Terry Davies, West Richland, Washington. Not saying my address. Thank you. Thank you for the work this evening. I want to say, based on, I kept trying to go through my phone to figure out what page people were on, and it kept giving me error messages. So I also have difficulties. I could not get back to the pages, particularly about the rules for the council. I don't know if I understood it correctly, but if the council did vote to not allow remote comment during meetings, I think that is a very short-sighted and poor decision. If I did misread that and you are going to allow it, great. But I think my understanding is that you're not. I think that it's unfortunate that people are so worried about, I didn't even know that Zoom bomber was a word. But for what somebody may say, I have attended many meetings online and in person. I can only recall one time that that has happened, that I actually realized what was happening, and I commend the quickness of trying to disrupt that. I think that in this day and age of technology, number one, that people should have the opportunity to speak remotely. It has opened up more opportunities to participate. And when I can't come to a meeting in person, I appreciate the opportunity to also have the time to speak if I choose to do that. Also, if you look at our any other political setting, public meetings, forums, all the way up to our national levels, people who are in elected offices behave shamefully in the words they use, the language they're using, and that is still allowed to be shown and viewed. So I really think that that is too bad. Sorry, I'm upset about this. If there's not the opportunity for there to be a public comment through Zoom or through a remote during a live meeting when people can respond when it's on their minds and they want to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davies. Is there anyone else who would care to make public comment? Please come to the podium. Kindly state your name and city of residence, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Scott Taysom, City of West Richland. Question, may I comment on a previous matter even if it was already resolved?
This is an open forum, sir.
Right, excellent. No. I'd just like to, first, I should throw my hat in the ring previously on I totally support the city being able to purchase things more efficiently. In my current job, I do a lot of buying with government stuff, and the bureaucracy can slow things down immensely. And while we shouldn't be saying, hey, Roscoe, here's $10 million, spend it on an ice cream truck. Always saying yes, never mind, don't give him that. But I really support us having a reasonable balance there, and setting approval thresholds too low really can stymie progress and just demotivate staff. Speaking personally. Second of all, I just was a couple of weeks ago going through the 2017 community planning and just kind of going through those documents, and it's really interesting as I just kind of was digging into it. And even though the planning commission here, I just am grateful that the city is doing that, and I would just like to encourage the council to continue forward thinking, especially as it goes to developing the giant Lewis and Clark Ranch, but also just other parts of the city. The city is growing. We kind of still want our small town feeling, but with costs rising and there's not being enough housing, like I would love this to be a place that my kids could live here if they choose to. And at the moment, probably not. And so I definitely would like to, advocate for a moderate approach. I don't want a 10-story high rise next to my personal house, nor do I think that we need to make sure everyone has at least 10 acres of land. I don't think that's an actual position held, of course, but I really do advocate for a reasonable community development approach. If it's going to be a place that our kids might want to be able to live in, they need to be able to live in it. And I think overall we're doing pretty good. And I think we can keep on doing better. So thank you for this time to comment.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present here tonight that'd like to make comment? If not, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. Is there anyone attending virtually who would like to make comment? You may raise your virtual hand. The city clerk will unmute you. I kindly ask that you state your name and city of residence for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. I see Mr. Harry Mays has raised his hand.
Hello, everybody.
Yep. Go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. I just like this. All I got to say is I just second what Ms. Davis said, that with technology that we should be able to communicate from afar if we are unable to make it in person.
All right. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else attending online or virtually who would like to make a comment? I see no one else. Do you, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right. So we will move on at this point through staff and council announcements reports. Staff members, any comments? Chief Fry?
Mayor and Council, I would ask Commander Coates to give you a brief overview of the 4th of July. Since it was such a big topic, we'd like to give you some feedback on what we experienced that night.
Thank you, Council. So I have this broken down a couple different ways with complaints starting on June the 28th through July 5th. So firework complaints starting June 28th through July 3rd, there was a total of 16 complaints received. 10 of those were verified callers. 2 were duplicate callers generating 4 complaints, and 2 anonymous callers. The earliest complaint was received on June 30th, with the majority of them occurring on July 3rd. Most complaints involved excessive noise and fireworks being discharged after legal hours, with the latest one being at 11:32. 6 of the 16 complaints received during the time period for fireworks were within the legal discharge WRMC. So not really complaints, just letting us know that there's fireworks being discharged legally. On July 4th, there was a total of 18 complaints received, 4 verified callers. 1 caller generated 4 different complaints, and 10 anonymous callers. For the single caller who generated the 4 complaints, officers responded, didn't observe what was being reported, and actually sat in the neighborhood for about 15 minutes. Didn't see what they were seeing. Of the 4 verified callers, 2 complaints received were after the midnight cutoff. The latest one was at midnight 45, so 12:45 in the morning, and they were supposed to be done at midnight. That's pretty standard since I've worked here. After that, it pretty well shuts down. The anonymous complaints primarily consisted of discharge at specific locations, like on private property. The individuals were contacted. Some of them had permission from the property owner to be discharging the fireworks. Those that didn't moved on. We didn't have any issues. And then there was a few with children discharging fireworks. Officers responded, talked to the kids. They stopped doing what they were doing. On July the 5th, there was a total of 7 complaints received, 2 verified callers, 5 anonymous. Most of those were debris cleanup in the roadways or like the cakes left on the side of the streets. Code enforcement did go around and look. I'm not sure that they found anything. I mean, people went and cleaned the stuff up as they normally do. The citizen online complaint portal, between June 28th and July 5th, there was 5 complaints submitted. 5 of those were all verified. 1 submitter generated 4 complaints, and then there was 1 additional complaint. The submitter that submitted the 4 complaints also had some photo attachments of fireworks and debris. The fireworks were all legal, and there was some debris on the side of the road, again, was removed prior to code enforcement responding. And then I have law enforcement fire assist. So that is a fire call that law enforcement was also dispatched to. There was 3 during the reporting period. All on the 4th, there was a yard fire at a vacant house. Fireworks were believed to be discharged in the county, came into our city and caught a yard on fire that was not been watered. No structures were damaged. There was a natural cover fire. It burned a little bit of a field. Structures threatened, no property damage though. And then there was a residential garage fire. Spent fireworks were put in a garbage can, put next to the garage. They ignited late in the night. And no injuries. There was some damage. Red Cross was called. The individuals were handled by the Red Cross. Animal control did not receive any missing dogs, lost dogs from fireworks being discharged. We were ready to take dogs in. We had kennel space available. None were picked up. And then the other event that happened that same night on the 4th was the Red Mountain Event Center fireworks show. Concluded without incident. WRPD wasn't required to respond to the event for calls of service. Traffic entering the venue or leaving the venue, no negative impacts. Roscoe's road construction had no negative impacts, egress from the event. It's Roscoe's.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to kind of, as the region, agency-related firework calls between June 28th and July 5th. West Richland had 52. Kennewick had 228. Pasco had 190. Richland had 112. And Benton County had 91. The fire response, so LE responding to fire assist calls, West Richland was 3. Richland was 3. Kennewick had 5. And Pasco had 6. West Richland PD also passed out educational materials to individuals we came in contact with on the 4th. Many of the citizens were very respectful and appreciated the educational materials we handed out. If we had an issue with discharge on the streets, we asked them to move off the streets. It was explained why for emergency access within the city. All the people moved. We had no issues with fireworks on the 4th.
Thank you, Commander.
Of course.
Any other staff comments? City Clerk Haug.
Off. Maybe. Oh, there it is. I just wanted to remind council that we do have a special meeting scheduled for August 25th. It's a Tuesday. It'll be at 5:30. The majority of the meeting will be an executive session, but I just wanted you to mark that on your calendars, and I will send a calendar invite this week.
Any other staff comments or council comments? Anyone on council care to make comment? We'll start with Councilmember Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the police chief. I want you to let you know about two officers that really helped me and my family out. And in particular, my daughter brought groceries home, locked my 1.5-year-old grandson in the car, and freaked out. And so she was having your basic meltdown. My wife called the police station. Officers Martinez and Gerard responded and did a great job. First of all, they calmed mom down, and then they got into the car quite quickly and got my grandson out. So thank you and kudos to those two officers. So we just heard from the West Richland Police Department the reports on fireworks on the 4th, and I've also asked the mayor to request that we get the same thing from the fire department. So I'm going to ask them to give us a report. And is it Officer Coates, Commander Coates? I'd also like to request a copy of your presentation tonight, if that'd be possible. Okay, third item, and I'll be done. So data centers. We, the city of West Richland, city council members have received 95 letters that I know of. Of those 95 letters, 18 of them are from West Richland. The remainder are from as far away as South Carolina. So there's a lot of folks that are concerned about the data centers and are weighing in West Richland. For the folks in West Richland, I encourage you to go out. Okay, first of all, Washington has some of the strongest environmental protection laws in the nation. Okay, and so you can find out what those are if you just go to ecology.wa.gov. And on there, you can look at the NEPA checklist. Whoever does anything is going to have to go through this checklist. And I've gone through the checklist, and it is not small. And so they're going to have to respond to a lot of things. We get to ask more questions during that time too, including all of the citizens in West Richland. So the point I'm making is that there's going to be a lot of opportunity to have your voices heard with regards to data centers. If anything like that happens, there's not a project yet, regardless of what you've heard. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Ritchie. I will turn to Councilmember Fetto.
Thank you, sir. So as the council city liaison to Fire District 4, I do have stats. You have it as well. Do you want to send that to Stephanie? Have her send it to council to have the flyer? Yeah. But just for the numbers for the 4th, 34 calls for service, 17 fire incidents, 12 are grass, 1 structure, and 4 other. And talking with Chief Carlisle, the house fire, the garage fire, now is what they think is the electrical that was the RV was plugged in the garage, and that's where the fire started, not from the discharge fireworks. They said the picture showed the fire started above those. So that was, they had their RV plugged in their garage. It was too close, probably arced or something like that. But I'll forward this over to city clerk and have her send this out to the staff, to the rest of the council. Overall, from what Chief Carlisle said, from his experiences last year, having police in Bomber Range Fire District, the station there helped out a lot. Also, the education we did and going around telling people to Corella streets. He said there weren't any incidents like last year where he had to physically push people out of the way to respond to a fire. So he was very grateful for the city response. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Fetto. Councilmember Moran.
Thank you very much. It has been a while since we've met, and since our last meeting, I attended a Benton Franklin Council of Governments meeting on the 17th. The big thing out of that is that we adopted the Grant Navigator position program to continue. So that's good. Very valuable to have the Grant Navigator program there. And also there is a request from Lizzie from BF Cog that if there's a project she could use for the next planning academy, Roscoe, Mr. Slade, to help the students learn about planning and perform and maybe do a mock planning project. She would love to get any emails. So if you or Mr. Mendenhall or anybody else would have that, that would be very valuable. I would also like to say that I was actually pleasantly surprised by the 4th of July. I was expecting it to be a lot worse, being as it was 250th birthday. But I was very glad in that. And I would also like to, again, extend a thank you to Chief Fry for coming to my house specifically just to see how things were going, especially since last year wasn't so great. Yeah, we did a really good job as a city, and I appreciate everybody doing so well. I know that, of course, there are outliers that still continue to do little one-off fireworks middle of the night when nobody's expecting it, but hopefully they'll stop. Other than that, coming up, there is a Ben Franklin Transit Board of Directors meeting next Thursday on the 13th, and I believe that that is it until the next council. Oh, and are we meeting on the 18th? Yes, okay. I will say that one then. All right. Thank you very much.
Member Smart?
Yeah, I'd just like to go ahead and tack on to what Councilmember Moran said about 4th of July as far as it being a very successful celebration. I think it showed what responsible citizens we have, appreciating our national heritage and just celebrating our Independence Day safely and within the rules that we've set. I really think we have a very educated, responsible, and safety conscious community. We do live in a tinderbox. We all got to hear that in ad nauseum before 4th of July. I certainly couldn't agree more, but people did what was responsible, didn't go into the middle of the desert and tall cheatgrass and set off fireworks. So thank you for that. As far as data center goes, yeah, we do get a lot of emails on data centers, and I just want to put on the record. I mean, I am, as much as anyone do not want any industry to come in and adversely affect our environment or our living conditions. But we hear these continued sort of speculative concerns about air, water, power availability, even electric fields, noise, and mental health was added to the list of adverse effects of having a local data center. I just want to encourage people that before you voice these opinions, or maybe challenge you to come up with data about the data centers and their impact. So if you have a study that indicates that a data center is giving off adverse pollutants in the atmosphere, well, I'd like to know what design of data center is adversely impacting groundwater. I know there have been some, but we want to make sure we avoid those designs. I'm pretty sure that no one in the city wants that to be a potentiality. Power, I think the more modern data centers that I see being proposed around the country are bringing their own power and then some. So there's a possibility that having a data center locally may actually enhance our power supply. I don't know. We won't know until we see a proposal. But again, I just ask that people study these and come to us with some data. Like, come to us with a study that addresses a particular design of data center so that we can be informed as a council to bear down hard on those specifications and make sure that we don't end up with one that is adverse to our environment. So electric field and mental health, again, I need a study about that because my education in physics tells me that, an electric field from a data center isn't going to extend to your house that's, a block away. But if you've got a study and you have something interesting there, please give us that. So I'm just challenging those that are concerned about this to, I'm trying to put this on the record, come to us with some science, some data, some observations that are actually, observed, whether they're your own or some study that you found. We're very interested. I'm very interested. I will not speak for council. I am very interested in all concerns so that when or if we do get a proposal, we can vet it appropriately, right? So that's my comment on data centers, and I just appreciate the conversation we had tonight, and I appreciate staff's patience, and I don't want to readdress a topic we voted on, but I do hope that in the future we can find technological solutions to making sure our meetings are open and available to the public. So with that, I'll conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Smart. Mayor Pro Tem Bloom?
First, I would like to say my impression of the 4th was it was pretty quiet compared to previous years. I walked around and my dog hardly winced at the fireworks. But as far as the discussion of remote comments, there's two ends of that, and it's happened many times that we aren't able to fulfill that need as well because one reason or another the person can't get the mute off. And we've even seen that with council members not being, well, I gotta hang up and come back. So it's somewhat, I agree it would be nice, but we can't assure it. And I've seen it many times serving not on just this council, but other venues such as the transit board over the years. So it isn't just that, but you know, it's nice to be able to comment, but it's not necessarily if you really, I mean, I feel we, the council members, are elected to think in terms of what you be concerned. And if you have it's tough as a non-council member not to go through all the line items of the packet and and so I appreciate it, but it's a difficult situation, and that's why I've voted to not allow the remote comments. Last week, I attended the Mosquito Control Board meeting, and there's good news and bad news. And I use the analogy, there are less snakes in town, but most of them are poisonous. Unfortunately, there are less mosquitoes out there. Mosquitoes hatched early this year. So did West Nile. We've had a number of birds die from West Nile early this year. And so 20% of all the traps are coming back West Nile. So I encourage you to use mosquito repellent even though there are no mosquitoes. The ones that are out there are nasty. So be careful out there, especially if you're going out in other areas. So good news, less mosquitoes. Bad news, nastier mosquitoes. Tomorrow I will be attending the annual meeting of the Yakima Basin Fish and Wildlife Recovery Board. It's being held up on at the Yakima Nation, and so we'll be going out to play with lampreys and other neat little things. Look at some of the projects they're doing up there. If anyone is interested, let me know real quick. So I can get you up there. Anyway, so with that, that's about all I have.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And just a few closing comments on my behalf. I did attend the annual AWC conference. I'm talking back in June now, but with Councilmember Fetto, but we were both there and we had more than 500 people from across the state attending that conference. So it was great. And Councilmember Fetto is a graduate of the cohort 3.
Best quartet ever.
Yes, of the Washington Collaborative Elected Leaders Institute. I had the privilege of also being a graduate of that one as well. I did participate in 2, but I was invited back just to share expertise and help guide others to get through the process. But it was great to be part of that as well. And once again, for those who aren't familiar with WASCELI, as it's called, It's an innovative institute put together by the University of Washington, the Evans School of Management, and so forth, to give local elected leaders skills and capabilities to better function as leaders within their city. And they have 3 cohorts of about 40 individuals each, so about 120 graduates already. Councilmember Moran has also attended at cohort 2. So it very much worth the effort. If other council members wish to participate, it will be offered again next year. I will be speaking tomorrow at the Washington Economic Development Association Conference, which is being held at the Red Lion here in Kennewick. Myself and fellow mayors from Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland will be welcoming everyone there, but it's economic and community development leaders from across the state. They're meeting here in our community, so that's always good when they do that. They get to see our community and the great things that we're doing. So I have the honor of speaking before that group tomorrow. I did a ride-along on July 4th with Chief Fry, spent several hours on 4th of July evening just to be with him, keep him company, and so forth, you know, make sure he did the right thing. But in all seriousness, the cooperation that was displayed between Benton 4, our fire district, and the police department was outstanding. We had Sergeant Hauk, I believe, as I remember, embedded within the fire district itself, so that if police resources were needed, because of last year, that was a challenge when roads were obstructed, had immediate ability to dispatch police. So it was a great cooperative effort. I give kudos to Commander Coates for putting together the plan, as well as Chief Fry for approving the plan and being out there personally on the 4th of July with me, keeping me out of danger. But also thanks to Benton 4 for all the work that they did in protecting our community as well. Really took a top-notch approach and a partnership, which I think was exceptional and led to the low volume of concerned calls, fires, and other events that evening. Also, the fact there wasn't much wind also helped, but that's another factor. Lastly, I have invited Councilmember Smart, and he has agreed to accompany me on September 12th to my next Meet the Mayor, Coffee with the Mayor, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to do it September 12th, which is a Saturday. And hopefully I will get Yolks. The venue is still being decided, but the cafeteria back there. Also attending will be Public Works Director Slade. So it'll be a chance for citizens to meet directly with me, one-on-one, unscripted conversations, also with Councilmember Smart for this one, and Public Works Director Slade. And this is an extension of what I learned in Wasselli, and I'm going to invite every council member to be part of this. We're just doing it one baby step at a time, but it's a chance for citizens just to interact informally. You can ask questions and we will answer them at there, unlike council meetings. So September 12th, Saturday, I'm finalizing the venue. I believe it's going to be Yolks, but it will be publicized on our website and also through our utility newsletter. So thank you all for attending. I have nothing else. This meeting is now adjourned more quickly than I thought at 8:39. Have a good evening, everyone. Yes.